And
all right, what's your connection to what's going on in Israel and Gaza right now?
I mean, I have friends in the army there. I've been to Israel 4 times. One of my friends was just injured. He was in the Nahal Brigade, and
where's he from?
he's from here. He went to high school with me. He's 2 years ahead of me. He was like a mentor to me and like a brother to me when I first came to the school, and it was just, you know, when I saw the picture of him, they had put up, his mom put up a picture, and you know, picture with shrapnel, you know, holding a vial of shrapnel.
What happened to him?
Taken out of his head. He was in a house, or this is the story, it's published, it's public domain. He was in a house that was rigged with explosives. And
Booby-trapped?
Yes, it was booby-trapped. He was in the back of the house, from what I've been told, and then the rest of his brigade was in the front. And he was lucky because the house blew up, and he didn't get the worst of it. He got hit by shrapnel. I don't know too many of the details, so I don't want to, you know, I don't want to falsify any records. But what I was also told is that he is a bona fide hero. He was trained as a medic, and he was caring for some of the other people that got hurt as the explosions were happening. And when he got hurt himself, he had the wherewithal to go help other people. And you know that, you know, to me that speaks volumes about the I.D.F.
What do you think? Okay, what do you think of the notion of did he come from an Israeli family?
No, he came from St. Louis, actually.
His parents are both born in America?
I'm not sure. I don't know the family all that well.
But he's born in America?
He was, yes.
So why did he go and enlist in the I.D.F. when he didn't have to?
The same reason a lot of people from my school have. It's not just because they're Israeli and they have the dual citizenship, it's because they feel a connection to it. You know, I myself almost did. Unfortunately fortunately and unfortunately, I'm the only grandson on my grandpa's side of the family, and he's a Holocaust survivor. So he told me, you are not going to any war. If I lose you, I lose the last name, I lose the legacy. That's not happening. So I dedicated my life to advocacy and for doing as much as I can for Israel from the States. Now, I feel a sense of guilt because I want to be there on the front line helping my friends. I have a lot of friends in Israel that are on the front, and the Americans that went there just feel this great pull and this great connection to their homeland, not only because they're Jews, just because Israel symbolizes so much for them. It's a lot more than just being Jewish.
Now, what would you say to those who might say, which country are you Jews primarily loyal to, America or Israel?
It's not just about loyalty, because I think your heritage is stronger than where you live. Your heritage is being Jewish. Your heritage is being a part of something that's greater than yourself. So is America, and America's a beautiful country. I love America, but I consider myself a Jewish American.
Right.
Because...
Were you born here?
Yes, I was born here. Born and raised.
So oughtn't your primary allegiance be to America?
My primary allegiance is to this country, but on the same level, it's to my people. And it's to my heritage. It's to
Americans are your people.
Americans are my people, but so is Israel. So is the Jewish people. And, you know, my grandpa says, don't carry the Holocaust on your back, but in a lot of ways I do. Because I don't want to ever see it happen again. And with what's going on in France, with what even happened in Germany of all places again, you know, I'm not saying it's on the same level, and I'm not saying it's going to get there, and hopefully it doesn't, but it's scary, and it's scary to see. Jews, you know, we've been saying for a long time now that the era of the weak Jew is over. I wish it were true, but we have Jews on the other side, and we have Jews that are screaming, you know, we're committing genocide, when they should know what a genocide is. And when they have family members that were mercilessly killed in a genocide. And it's like a stab in my heart every time I hear that from another Jewish person. So that's why I have such a strong connection to Jews and to my...
If somehow the Obama administration would make Israel like a pariah and somehow no longer an ally of America, and somehow the U.S. Army were fighting along with Arab armies against Israel, on which side would you fight?
If and when that happened, and I don't think it ever will, and I need to preface this by saying I love this country. I've done a lot in politics in this country, and I want this country to protect its Jewish people. But if, and I don't think Obama would do this, but if he does, I would fight for Israel. I would fight for the Jewish people, because I think that your heritage is what you protect the most. And your people and your, you know, the Jewish people, there's such a rift between all of us. And, you know, there are so many different guilty parties in that, but something like that could totally unite everybody. I don't want it to happen, and I know people would be split, but if the Jewish people are attacked, that is when, you know, generally good things come from that. We generally coalesce and we can come together. My one fear is how the media spins things, and just, you know, I see it on my campus at school.
Which campus?
I go to Goucher College in Baltimore. I had, you know, not just the media, academia. I had a teacher that, you know, she wasn't necessarily pro-Hamas, but I pressed on her. I asked her, will you call Hamas a terrorist organization? And she's like, no, they're a resistance force, they're militants. And I told her, but they're killing, you know, people left and right. They're killing their own people. How can you not call them terrorists? And then what she told me is, you know, I'm Jewish and I still can stand with them. And I'm like, and she says she considers herself a Zionist. And I'm like, no, if you're defending anything Hamas does, you are no Zionist. You are no someone who defends the honor and the sanctity of Israel. They're attacking Israel.
What class was she teaching?
She's teaching Introduction to Politics. It was more like Introduction to Islam, an introduction to Islamic social movements. Now, I learned a lot about how Hamas was formed and how they split off from the Muslim Brotherhood. And now we're in the situation with Egypt, how the enemy of our enemy is our friend, and that's why Egypt and Saudi Arabia...
Do you think she was biased against you because of your politics?
Yes.
Yes?
I do.
You think she held it against you?
I think she did. I will be very candid with that. I've said it several times. I complained to my school administration that...
You had to? Why?
Not... Well...
You think she graded you lower than you deserved?
I did. There was one project in particular, and I still am quite unhappy about this. And I'm not a hold grudge type of guy, but this just stuck with me. I had to do a project on conducting a social movement. And what happened was, I ended up getting pneumonia. And I still cranked out an 8-page report on time with better quality and clarity than many of my other group mates. Now, I don't want to take a stab at them because they're good people, but what happened was they all got A's on this report and I got a B+. Now, B+, not a bad grade, but if everybody else in the group is getting an A, and this was, I want to say, about 15-20% of the final grade, I ended up with a B- and that threw my GPA off. I think I deserved at least a B+, if not higher, in that class, because I participated, I contributed ideas when most of the people sat silent.
Were there others who had problems with her besides you?
No, because my school is it's sad, and I spent a year. I was the engagement intern for the Hillel, and I also was active in the Chabad. And what I saw was cultural Jews that didn't want to affiliate with the religion because they thought the religion would make them look bad to other people, because the religion gets attacked. And I don't separate the two. I don't separate the culture and the religion because the religion informs the culture. And it is just, it bugs me when people are like, you know, I'm not anti-Israel, I'm anti-Zionist. And I had a lot of those Jews on my campus. Well, if you're Jewish, by nature you should be a Zionist. You should know that a big tenet of our religion is having a homeland in Israel and having Jerusalem being the capital of our homeland. And, you know, I don't consider myself, you know, aesthetically, I'm not the most religious person. You know, I don't wear a kippah. I did for a time. I don't keep kosher. But the religion means a lot to me because of my heritage, because of the way I was brought up. Just all that plays into the sense of belonging to the greater Jewish community. And it is my hope and my passion to bring everybody together if there's any way to do that.
How strong a pro-Arab attitude was there on the campus?
It wasn't very strong because there weren't a lot of Arab kids. Now, there was one Jewish kid that was trying to start a movement, a pro-Palestinian movement. It didn't work. my fear is that it will start up this year because we had a president who was very, very pro-Jewish of the college. Great man. He taught a class. He taught my free speech class. You know, he was a very, very liberal guy. But he also knew who he needed to protect.
Which was who?
The Jewish kids.
Oh.
Because my campus is 30% Jewish. And there was a kid who wrote an article for the paper. I've butt heads with this young man several times. He was extremely adamant about the fact that there's not enough Arab advocacy on the campus, that people misunderstand, and there's Islamophobia. I'm like, have you read the school paper? There was a Jewish girl attacking Israel and a Jewish girl that spent a year in Jordan learning the Muslim narrative, which I'm all for learning other sides and learning other narratives. But what I am not for is standing against your own people. And what I'm not for is propaganda and spinning things. You know, they brought up the Nakba. Well, I asked a couple of them.
Israeli independence is the Nakba, right?
Exactly. Do you know what the Nakba means? And they're like, I don't know what the word means. I said, it means the catastrophe. And you know what the catastrophe was? It was the fact that 6 Arab armies could not beat little Israel. And they told their people, hold on to your keys because you will be returning home once we kill all the Jews in the area. And when that didn't happen, they were stuck. They had nowhere to go.
Because Israel changed all the locks and their keys didn't fit anymore?
No, because, well, in some cases the houses were leveled, and in other cases, Jews moved in.
Or the Palestinians were not permitted back?
No. I mean, once Israel was established, we had it as a Jewish state, but I don't believe there's any historical record saying we did not let them back. You know, I read a statistic recently that 60% of the Arab, or 67% of the Arab population feels like they are treated like full citizens. That's more than any minority group in America, if you ask them. You know, people that say, oh, Israel's not a democracy, it's an apartheid. You talk to the average Arab in Israel that's not a radical Muslim, they're going to say the same thing I'm saying right now, that Israel treats them fairly. I mean, there are Israeli MKs that are speaking out against Israel.
Members of Knesset.
Members of the Knesset that just spin things and, you know, tout the Palestinian narrative, but yet they're not silenced. In an apartheid state, they would be silenced. So, you know, if you want more proof that Israel is not an apartheid, just go look at the Knesset sessions. You know, I'm sure it's public record. I'm sure you can go look and see what they're saying.
Doesn't Israel have more, proportionately more Arab members of parliament than America has blacks in the U.S. Senate?
It's true. It's very true. And I've spent a lot of time learning about Congress and the Senate in this nation. And what I can tell you is it is pretty homogenous of Caucasian people. And that's shifting and that's changing, which is, I think, is a good thing. Because if you want to be more like Israel and emulate a country that has a true democracy, you need a bunch of opinions. You can't just have one side. Now, in this country, to be representative, we have a big Latino contingency, and there are a lot of Latino congressmen now that are coming out of the valley, that are coming out, well, North Valley, and that are coming out of other parts of the city, which is good because their voice needs to be heard in Congress. Now, I want to stay out of American politics. I want to talk about Israel, obviously, and the one thing I find on campus that needs to be fixed before you can stop any kind of SJP action would be to get the Jews together. Because you're never gonna, well, it's not about silencing the other side, it's about holding them accountable for what they say. You know, I sat down in my common room in my school with a non-Jewish kid, and you know, what he said to me was horrible, and this is what I really want to end with, you know, just perspective. He sat down and said, I'm not anti-Semitic, but Gaza is the biggest concentration camp in the world. And I told him, what you just said stings me so much because my grandpa lived through Auschwitz. My grandpa lived through 3 concentration camps.
Gaza is not a concentration camp.
Gaza in no way, shape, or form is a concentration camp. What concentration camp has five-star hotels for CNN reporters to stay at and then tout their side to the to the American public? It's not right. And that's the information and the propaganda that people are getting. So if this message gets to any Jewish people that have secular Jews as friends, that are not just religious, what I want you to know is tell your friends to stand up for their people and stand up for what is right, and the propaganda, and please know your heritage, know the history, and just stand up for the Jewish people. That's all I got.